Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn and today I'll be crafting with this couple of stamp sets from the Not Too Shabby Shop Box of the Month for April 2022. These strawberries have got to be the cutest thing ever. They, I think, are probably my favorite out of everything in this month's box. I am starting off with some frames here that I've cut from the Sunny Studios. I think they're called Fancy Frames, and it's a really, I always go to this set. I have them in multiple shapes. I think I've got this one, which is the rectangle, the circle, and I think I have the square also. They're just really convenient because every pass through the die cutting machine, you get three different pieces that you can play with. And this piece of vellum here, I've already heat embossed. So with the sentiment, I stamped with clear Versamark and used white fine detail embossing powder. And it's a mix of stamps from two of the different stamp sets that we get. I think You're So Sweet comes from one set, and then, You're So Berry comes from one set, and then Sweet comes from another stamp set. And I'm just trying to show here the difference between if you just use your finger and you burnish with your finger, it doesn't quite knock out as much air as when you actually take a bone folder and burnish, because you can actually see that vellum get more clear as the air gets pushed out. But I was saying with the vellum piece, this little strawberry design, I clear heat embossed one of the strawberry stamps, and that's just clear ink with clear powder, and it gives you this really awesome effect. I love it. And then when you look at it at certain angles, it looks almost because it's got that enamel finish, it almost looks kind of watery. It's just really cool. Okay, so this little hinge piece here I've cut so that it's got a like a 1/4 inch tab on one end and a 1/2 inch tab on the other end. And what I'm converting this piece to is so that it's basically a little flip piece that I'm trying to go for that look of like a box of chocolate covered strawberries, except these won't be chocolate covered. But I think that would be another cute idea, is to kind of do some faux chocolate covering on them. I might have to try that. But what I'm going to do here is attach this little lift tab so that it's a little bit easier to lift up this the box lid, as it were. And that's just a 3/4 inch circle that I punched out, and then I cut off an edge of it so that I can sandwich it in between two layers of this frame. And this gives everything a really nice finish because that vellum is going to be sandwiched in between these layers as well as the hinge. So everything's going to look really nice and neat and finished from the underside as well when you open this up. So the only trick is that you do need some 1/8 inch double-sided adhesive tape, because these borders are pretty thin, but I find that the 1/8 inch border or adhesive tape works really well. And then this other hinge, that's just going to go onto the back of, now this is to sort of be the inside of my box. And I think I did ink around the edges just to darken the that piece of brown cardstock, but looking at it on camera, it's hardly noticeable. It's a little bit more noticeable when you look at it in person. But that's where I feel like I may have been a little bit too light-handed, and it might have benefited from even more inking around the edges just to deepen or darken that panel a little bit more. But I'll go ahead and set this piece inside the outermost frame, which is the perfect size for a US A2 size card, which is 4 1/4 by 5.5. There, you do see a little bit of the white from the card base, but if you didn't like that, you could always maybe kind of trim down the front of your card base just a smidge so that you don't see that white. And but it doesn't really bother me too much. So I left it. But if you don't like the little bit of white that's peeking through between the scalloped edges, you could just trim your card base down just a smidge so that the scalloped edge just hangs off of the card base completely. But that's basically our little peekaboo flop complete. And then I colored up these 3 strawberries in advance. You can see I'm a messy colorist because I've got, alcohol ink all over my hands. I can never color anything without coloring myself a little bit. But these are really fun images to color. They're not very big, so I find that they're just the right size because they're big enough to where the brush tip, it's not a challenge to use the brush tip to get, a lot of times with smaller images, it's really hard to get that tip into those small areas, but they're also not so big that it's hard to blend out the colors because I feel like blending across wider sort of open areas for me is challenging. And maybe that's because I almost always try to use 3 colors, but maybe for larger images, that's when you need to really maybe pick a 4th or a 5th color so that each color brings you, closer and closer to the other side, and any single color doesn't have to really cross a wide distance. But that's why I really like these images because they're, I feel like, a really good size and for me easy to color up. I did give them a little bit of accent, so I used my black glaze pen, and that gives the eyes a little bit of shine. So I colored the eyes as they are stamped out does have the white sort of highlight, but when I took my black glaze pen to it, I just colored right over it. And then with a white gel pen, I put the whites of the eyes back in. And also with the white gel pen, I just added a couple of those little highlights along the right sort of upper edge. And then for the sunglasses, I did color that in with my alcohol markers with some shades of gray. But when I went to put on these final touches, I used diamond glaze on the sunglasses to give them a little bit more dimension and to give them that shine and reflectiveness. And now I'm touching up my white highlights with my white gel pen because I don't know if anyone can recommend a good white gel pen, but there was, or if this just always happens and you just have to deal with it, but there was some of the red from the alcohol marker that bled through my white gel pen and turned it a little bit pinkish. So I had to go back and add I added at least 2 coats of that white gel pen, maybe even the 3rd in some cases. But I love the clear heat embossing on the vellum. I've never tried that before, and I really, really like how it turned out because I knew I wanted to use the strawberry pattern, but I didn't want it to fight with the sentiment in terms of just visually being too busy. And that's what made me think of the clear embossing pattern. I think that turned out fantastic. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Bye!